Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes.
Jenny just coming in the end of the wire here.
Just barely.
Okay, kind of need to keep this a short one, so if nobody has anything to plug, I'd just like to thank my Patreon supporters. No.
Didn't we do this yesterday?
What? Huh? What?
I didn't think so. But maybe my memory's just getting that bad.
So what do you mean it's mild up there? What temperature you got going up there?
Well, I'm used to having more below 0 days, and by the statistics, we're supposed to get an average of 3 feet of snow every year.
Just tell me what's your temperature. I want to know.
Oh, well, tonight it's like 10 below out there now.
Oh, okay. All right. Fine. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, I just meant for the whole season overall. Mostly that just, we're not getting as much snow as they say that, an average winter should be here. This is
an average winter for Minneapolis should be about 51 inches. I heard it on the news or on the NPR.
Yeah.
The Rochester and public radio just this week.
Yep. Yeah, and for St. Cloud, from what I saw, the average is supposed to be about 48 inches. It's just...
So go back into the records and look up all the days it snowed and add them all together.
Well, I did that for the last 2 winters. And for each of the last 2 winters, we only got about 24 to 30 inches of snow. So, in both cases, it was more than a foot below the average. I haven't checked it for this year, but we didn't get any real heavy snowstorms. I don't think we got over 2 feet this winter.
Oh, I think you did. People have terrible weather memory.
Might be, but apart from the days that we just got a light dusting, we really only got snow that was multiple inches, like 3-4 times.
Hey, Mage, do a search. Current seasonal snow total, St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Seasonal.
Well, I'm sure if you go by season, you will find we get a lot more in the winter.
Yeah, I would hope so. those July snowfalls are just really a pain in the ass.
27.7. I'm not sure what the number stands for though. On the site,
I expect it's probably inches.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and yeah, the site is saying that the average for St. Cloud should be 45 inches.
Well, see, you're better than halfway there, and there's still a month and a half left of snowball time.
Well, we're into March already, so yeah, I don't expect we'll get a lot of big storms anymore.
March? It's January. No, it's February.
It's February. It's February, so yeah.
Oh, this is terrible. The Republicans are having their political convention in Milwaukee in 2024.
Sorry.
That's just depressing as all fuck. They're purposely going to a blue city just to cause trouble.
Well, how much trouble could they possibly cause? Yeah.
Plenty. Milwaukee, I don't think has ever voted red, ever.
Yeah, that's the point.
This is a city that had socialist mayors.
That's my point. How much trouble could they actually cause?
Well, the Democrats were going to have their convention in Milwaukee last time around for Biden, but they got canceled because of COVID. And so I'm sure they're going to try and play off that somehow.
Well, I was also thinking that, they may be doing it in some state that they expect protests, because that, of course, will, generate more hype in the media.
Mm-hmm.
Both if there's protests and especially if the police get involved with the protesters.
Milwaukee tends to be pretty respectful with their protesting type stuff. At least all that I've ever been involved in.
Best to just ignore them and let them do their own little thing over in the corner where nobody wants to pay attention to them.
Republicans, ugh, God.
Yep. So politics aside, Jenny, anything else happening by you? And we have Jason Jacoby in the side chat.
I need rear brakes on my car.
Rear brakes?
Yeah. We did the front ones, and now the
okay. You already did the front. Yeah. I was gonna say, don't you usually wind up, doing the rear ones when you do the front ones, but you only do the rear ones like every third or fourth time you do the front ones.
Well, not quite that ratio, but yes, there's definitely a difference. Rears work a lot less.
Well, yeah, you at least 80% of your stopping power is from the front.
Yep. I think it's going to need calipers like the front did.
Well, so yeah, that's going to get more expensive.
Not terribly, actually. I looked them up, and there's the people that I bought, the ones I have now from on eBay, which I'm very satisfied with these calipers. Have a pair for the rear, and they're like $40 a piece, which is really cheap.
Yeah, that's
really
not
cheap.
bad.
Really, really cheap for a BMW part. And so I'm even going to upgrade to a different version of the caliper that's a little more stout. There's a version of the caliper with a bigger piston than mine has, and the bigger the piston, the more pressure.
Right.
Which means more braking, and it'll match the front end better for the performance brakes that were put on it before I bought it.
Yeah, when I got this van, when I went to pick it up from my brother, we took off all the wheels to check the brakes before I drove it home. And we're surprised to find that not only had the brakes been done recently, but all 4 rotors had been replaced. Had brand new rotors on all 4 wheels.
Well, that's good. Somewhere along the line, let's see, when was it? It was somewhere around like late 80s, early 90s. Rotor manufacturers, or the industry, let's just say it that way, seemed to change its intent of how rotors are built. There was always this inequity of rotors and pad replacement, where you do the pads, but the rotors would be good for sometimes 2 or 3 pad changes. But one of the things that also happened at the same time is that they changed away from asbestos brakes to more carbon-based and silicon-based, ceramic-based kind of brakes, high metallic compound, these sorts of things. And they work great, except they have a very high tendency to squeak that asbestos brakes just don't have. asbestos brakes will squeak, but the needed conditions are very different. And so they seem to have changed the rotor to match the pads, and it's not uncommon at all now to have to change the rotors and the pads at the same time.
Well, I know one of the things they did was that, they started making the brake rotors a lot thinner. That before it used to be that you could, get them turned and resurfaced like 3 times before you had to replace them.
That's completely up to the different manufacturers. BMWs, you've never been able to do that. They're just not. You just don't turn their rotors.
I had mostly GM products, but yeah. But yeah, about sometime in the early to mid 80s, it got to the point that they made them thinner so you could only turn them once and then you had to replace them.
In fact, what people don't realize is that you can change brake pads without cutting the rotors at all on most cars. Even though the surface is nice and shiny and all that kind of stuff, you may develop a ridge on the outside edge, which is ugly, but it doesn't really affect the braking.
Yeah, I did that quite a lot of just leaving the rotors alone.
Yeah. What we would do is we would we had some sanding discs, specialized sanding discs, and you would give the rotor a spin, and while it's spinning, you put this sanding disc, which is on a pneumatic thing, and so it's like counter rotating against the spin of the rotor, and it puts just a quick new surface on it. It takes about 30 seconds.
Yep, I did the same thing. I just put them in a drill press to spin them and did it with the random orbital sander.
That would be a very good do-it-yourself system. That would work well.
Yep.
And so then you put on, but still today they still have a tendency to squeak, even though they match the pads and rotors. So there's lots of compounds and extra anti-squeal plates and things that you put on that are like Teflon based and these sorts of things. And there's all kinds of theories about how to make the squeak stop. The easiest way to make the squeak stop is stand on your brakes harder, because most of the squeak happens because of buildup of brake dust, and that's caused from light braking. You get all this. You generate more brake dust when you brake harder, but the action of your hard braking increases the velocity of the gases and stuff coming off the rotor, and it blows the dust away.
Yep.
And so they stay cleaner and less likely to vibrate.
Okay, so how do they get Teflon to stick to things?
With Teflon glue? I don't know.
Well, if nothing sticks to Teflon, how did they get the Teflon to stay on the metal?
I don't know. Teflon glue. That's got to be it.
Oh, sorry, I'm trying to chow here a bit. Sloth Girl ordered pizza, but it did not get here in time for me to eat.
Oh, that sucks.
They got pizza there?
This is just Domino's.
Oh, Domino's is good pizza. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah, for the big delivery options, they're decent.
They made this cheese. They called it a cheeseburger pizza for a while, and I loved that. That was so good. It was just the exact kind of pizza that I like.
I stick to the traditional classics. Usually I just go with the sausage and mushroom.
Jason Jacoby, do you have a classic question?
I think he meant about how I get the Teflon to stick.
Oh. Teflon glue. I mean, how do you get wallpaper to stick? Wallpaper glue, right? How do you get people from Scotland to stick to a wall? Scotch tape. And ducks, you put them on a wall with duct tape.
The metal is sandblasted. It had a primer coat of Teflon and seeps into the tiny holes and cracks next to Teflon and is baked into the material.
That's interesting.
I figured it was something along those lines. I didn't know if the Teflon actually could be like, like melted to a liquid or something.
Yes, in fact, Teflon can gas off, and the Teflon, if you have it in your kitchen and you burn a Teflon pot and it gives off its Teflon gas, if you have birds,
Yeah.
it will kill them.
Yeah, I avoid using any non-stick stuff with my bird.
I had heard about that you're not supposed to use Teflon pans if you've got a bird.
That's because they prefer to be roasted.
It's not too good for people either.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. Oh, wind chill minus 17 or 18 below around here. Ooh, the next county over is going to be minus 28. Ooh.
Well, I'm not sure what it actually is here. I just know that, I got home about 8 something, and at that time the readout in the van was saying it was 8 below.
Yeah, it's one degree here according to the weather guy and their little temperature thing in the corner of the TV screen.
There, what do you think of that one? I mean, little wolf wizard there.
What have you learned, Jason? The Teflon thing, and what else? Let's try to have an educational show. We'll try to whip out fancy facts from our ass.
So, refining your mage avatar?
Yeah, it turns out the writing AI I've been playing around with also has an image AI generator. And I unplugged my last AI generated wolf into it and got that.
Oh, hold on, I gotta see.
I noticed it wound up, being kind of softer.
Yeah, this one actually is a beta control for creating furries, believe it or not. But it works for doing this.
What app are you using that does that?
It's that writing one I was playing.
What's the name of it?
The Novel AI.
Novel AI. Okay. God, it's going to be 41 on Monday and 40 on Wednesday and 39 on Thursday. Come on, warm weather.
Yep, so the snow we have is going to melt.
Maids, when it hits those temperatures this time of year, we go out in t-shirts and shorts.
Oh, definitely if it's above freezing.
You people are crazy.
You get used to it. Just like you in the hot, you can deal with that. I would die down there.
Well, I could even take the heat, but I don't think I could handle the humidity in Florida.
That can be difficult to deal with. You don't really get used to that.
Yeah, it's that muggy hot when the air doesn't seem to move at all.
Yeah, there've been times. Yeah, there've been times where I had to go out and I couldn't really breathe outside.
It is always humid in Florida. It's never dry.
Exactly, and that's why I would not be going to Florida.
There's also times I'm not sure if I'm sweating or if it's just the humidity clinging to me.
I have a cousin who lives down in Florida, and she keeps asking why I don't come down there and get away from where the air hurts my face. So we keep going back and forth with things like that.
I have an open invitation from Christy Santiago to come down and visit, and I just can't do it. It's Florida. I would probably actually die. I don't trust that place.
Yeah, at this point I would be rather nervous about traveling to any southern states.
And if I don't
Honestly,
die,
I'm not all that thrilled about traveling to Pennsylvania at this point.
And if I don't die, I might be so mad at DeSantis that I'd go after him.
Now it sounds like we've got to do a GoFundMe to send you down there.
No,
Ah,
I have some interesting news that I'll pass on. I usually don't break this kind of stuff unless it's complete and verified and this kind of stuff. But it was just interesting, and I'd like to pass it on at this time. One of my trans friends up here and her wife they're not rich by any means, but they're comfortable, and they want to buy a new car. And when they say new car, they mean new car. And they have this 2014 Subaru that they offered to me for an unbelievably low price.
oh, cool.
Like 30% of what market value would be.
Okay.
Kind of low price. And I'm just going to see if there's some way I can arrange that. You know, the car I have now is definitely sellable, pretty much for what I paid for it, because I've made improvements on it and things.
Right. Yeah, I know you've been doing some ads to it.
And so it's not a real popular car, but we should get a good price. That's the nice thing about having a BMW; they always sell.
Well, that would be good.
So I'm thinking about stuff. I would love to have a Subaru. It would be my first non-BMW since 1975. Amazing, isn't it?
Well, and Subarus are definitely known for their reliability.
I like it because it's one of the smaller versions before the Forester and Outlander or whatever that has got real big.
Yeah, I had
but it's still a wagon format.
Yep. I had a Subaru wagon. I think it was a 91. And I was driving that until like 2006.
God, when did girls' gymnastics suit get so beautiful? They used to just be plain blue or red or whatever school color. Now they have all these lovely designs and glitter and sparklies and stuff. Beige type coloring and
yeah, I noticed that even in the Olympics, that they went from basically just a solid color leotard or maybe with a couple of stripes that they've gotten, all sparkly and glittery.
Very pretty. High school hockey is up.
Yeah.
High school hockey?
Anybody not in Minnesota is not going to understand, but in Minnesota, high school hockey is a bigger thing than like the Super Bowl playoffs are to anyone else in the country.
In this area, and I imagine up in your area too, in this area they televise all the high school basketball championships, all the football championships, all the hockey championships, and most of the basketball championships.
Well, and the high school hockey tournament plays in the same arena as the professional sports team.
Yeah, so it's always a big thing for the kids.
Yeah, some of the games draw bigger crowds than the professional games. In fact, I know people who get the yearly membership to the Science Museum just so that when the high school hockey tournament is on, they can get a place to park downtown.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in Milwaukee. it's it's different. If your team did better, it wouldn't be that way. And that's not a a dig. The Bucks were crap for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're not.
If you say so.
Well, we only took championship the year before last.
If you hadn't just said it, though, I couldn't have told you that what team was associated with your city.
Oh, I don't know very well. Well, I know a lot of the OG ball teams, like Celtics and the Lakers, which were Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota is good for creating teams for other people, it seems. They start in Minnesota and go to somewhere else.
Now, see, I still think that Minnesota has to get that name back. Lakers does not fit any other city. Hey, Skits, I left you a link on Discord if you want to come in.
Hey,
come on in, Skitsy.
I don't know. It seems to me just kind of a common sense rule that if a team's going to move into a different state, shouldn't they get a name that's appropriate to the area they're moving into?
Yeah, I think so. Although there's also the point that people would make about history, that it's the history of the team with the name, so you keep it. Although when they're selling a team, they're just selling a corporate structure and building and grounds kind of shit.
Yeah.
We'll see. We haven't even talked about the topic tonight. My favorite hedgehog is blue and can run at Mach 3.
Oh, yes.
Oh, is there a topic tonight?
Well, it's Hedgehog Day.
Oh.
The groundhogs are always hogging all of the attention, but it's also Hedgehog Day, and hedgehogs are cuter.
And what kind of hedgehog souvenirs can we get?
I don't know about souvenirs. I know they used to be very popular pets in the UK, but I think that they've been discouraging that and, just trying to get people to leave them in the wild.
I saw somebody had a pet hedgehog when I was at a bird show at one point. It was pretty neat. They're like little palm-sized critters.
I saw something. I don't know. I think you might have seen it too, Perp. It was a photograph on Twitter of butt plugs with a squirrel head on it.
Yeah, I saw that picture on Twitter while I was trying to set up.
I think that was just the most tasteless thing I've ever seen. I mean, go ahead, wear a butt plug if you think you have to, but something like that is just. I mean, I make jokes about eating animals and stuff like that we generally don't eat, but to actually do something that bizarre it's just way overboard. It bothers me.
Yeah, Skits, they are called hedgehogs because they generally live in the hedges, along the edges of gardens and fields.
Yeah, maybe that squirrel's roadkill and they decided to do something with it.
Yeah, okay, sure. We can rationalize it if we want, but it's still disgusting no matter where you got the squirrel from.
Yeah, I have eaten squirrel, but I agree with Jenny that application seemed very tasteless at best.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the idea of a stuffed squirrel, sitting in your house or something, but that's a lot better than what they did. It's just so disrespectful. I'm one of those people who, if there's roadkill, I will do whatever I have to do to not further desecrate that poor thing that's on the road. In some cases, I've even stopped and moved them off of the road.
What does it matter?
It's just how I feel. It's just they're animals. They're good guys.
It's already dead, though.
Hey, Commander.
Yeah, but desecration doesn't require being alive.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I had a very shocking hit with an animal, and I think if you drive long enough, you're going to hit an animal. And I was on my way home from the racetrack and about into Milwaukee County on what road is that? I-43, I think it is. Whatever. And I can see them up ahead, and for a while, for about quarter, half mile or so, they're darting across the road like they do, a bunch of barn swallows, chasing bugs. And this one came across the road right in front of my car, and had it continued going straight, it would have made it. And instead it turned to the left and bam, instant hit. And it was trapped under my windshield wiper.
Mm-hmm.
And it hit with enough force to lift up the windshield wiper, get the head of it through the barrier, and then the wiper comes back down, and so I have this dead fucking barn swallow that's pinned to my windshield staring at me. It was very upsetting. I lost it for a while.
Yeah.
I remember I was driving around and I saw a rabbit on the side, and I noticed it started moving, so I stopped and picked it up, put it in a box I had in my trunk, and ended up taking over to a friend's house, since my house is still being redone, and I nursed it back to health, and it lived in their backyard.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I've tried to pick up birds that I've seen that were obviously hit, but they're usually so far damaged that it's better to just put them down.
Yeah, there was one time I intentionally ran over something, but it was way too gone.
Yeah. I heard, and I don't know the physiology behind it or anything, or even if it's true, but I heard that deer can panic to such a degree that they will basically give themselves a heart attack and die.
I've heard stories of that. I've never been able to verify how true it is.
I've gotten pretty good at spotting them before trouble comes.
I have to say that was rather disturbing. Basically, half the animal was flat already, and then the other half I saw, the chest rise and fall a little bit.
Yeah, on a deer?
No, I think it was a cat.
Oh, jeez. I saw a very heartbreaking scene once. It involved ducks. Mallard ducks will mate for life and stuff like that. They'll continue to fuck other ducks, but they'll stick with their chosen partner for life. And I choke up just even trying to talk about it. This is like 30 years ago. There was just very very close off the road, 2-3 feet, this temporary pond because of all the rain we'd had, and in it you could see this female mallard duck was clearly damaged. It had to have been hit by a car on the road and fell into the pond.
Mm-hmm.
And the male duck was just standing on the edge. And
yeah,
a duck can look sad. That's all I can tell you.
yeah. Well, it shows that animals can definitely have a lot of empathy. It's not people don't have any exclusive on any of the emotions. Let's try to find a happier topic, because I've had a few distressing
Well, I hear ducks
things
are
myself over the years.
into necrophilia.
Not necessarily the way to lift things here.
I don't know about that, but I know that
I've actually heard
rapey.
that too, though. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time driving country roads that didn't have a lot of traffic, so I've had a number of close encounters, and I've hit a few animals over the years.
Okay, so if you had the day that was being in a time loop, what would you do with it? Sort of like the Groundhog's Day with Bill Murray.
Oh yeah, I never saw that whole movie. I saw like half of it. I never saw how it ended.
Really?
Well, then we're going to spoil it for you if we talk about it.
Well, we don't have to
No,
talk about
I
the
mean,
movie. I mean, we can just talk about the time loop effect.
yeah, that. And besides, the thing has been
time loop.
the thing has been so memed to death anyway over the years. I mean, even Stargate had an episode that was kind of a rip-off on it.
I've never seen the end memed, though.
Okay,
if you haven't seen it, you wouldn't guess what the end is. Well, yeah, you would. It's pretty basic, formulaic rom-com type of stuff.
Stargate did one, and they took it in real funny directions.
Yeah, I like the golfing scene.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of too.
No, which one? Which scene?
Stargate, where they were golfing and they were hitting balls through the Stargate.
Oh.
Yeah, and the general came down. What do you think you're doing? Because they decided that this was just going to be an endless loop, so nothing they did would have any consequences.
That's a pretty funny scene.
That is an interesting question, though. Yeah, what if you thought it was going to keep looping, so nothing you did would really matter beyond the end of the night?
Well, I don't know. I think I'd do the kind of stuff that the character Bill Murray played did, and learn the piano. I might also do things like run naked in the town square and that sort of thing. But
I just wondered, did you get to the part where he kidnapped the groundhog?
No, I didn't get that far in it.
Yeah, okay.
But I have seen that part, clips of it.
Yeah. Well, apparently during the scene where he's telling the groundhog, "Don't drive angry," the groundhog was really angry, and bit him twice.
Yeah. I don't expect there's really any such thing as a domesticated groundhog for him to have worked with.
Apparently the scene where he was eating the cake, he really did. He stuffed the whole thing in his down in his throat all at once and got sick from it. Anyway,
I haven't seen Groundhog Day more than 1.5 times. I should go see it again.
Yeah, it's a decent movie.
Honestly, I was never a big Bill Murray fan. Outside of Ghostbusters, I can't off the top of my head think of anything he was in that I really liked.
Bill Murray is a very talented dramatic actor. I have seen him in a couple of dramatic roles. Lost in Translation. You want to go see a good one? Go watch that. He's just a good actor. It's completely believable characters, and it's a real interesting change to see him like that.
Lost in Translation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go give it a watch sometime. I
do feel bad for actors who wind up getting typecast, and I do feel that happened to Robin Williams. That everybody only viewed him as a comedian, so they never let him be a serious actor, even though he had played some very serious roles very convincingly.
Which is really unfair. I mean, Tom Hanks, they let do comedy, and then the next one is a drama, and the next one's a comedy, and
interestingly enough, Tom Hanks was offered the role for Groundhog's Day.
Oh, really? Was
Murray,
he?
yeah, that Bill Murray talk.
I could have seen Tom Hanks in it just as well, yeah. But I mean, with Robin Williams, it's like even the video stores, you'd find, like Dead Poets Society in the comedy section just because it was Robin Williams. It's like, no. So it does really suck if an actor gets too much associated with one thing, if they won't let him, show what else they can do, and if people don't really, appreciate it or pay attention to it.
Yeah, I think that's particularly unfair if they take and do that to like a child actor.
Yeah.
Like Opie, Ron Taylor. He couldn't get another acting role to save his soul. And that's why he went into production and stuff like that. And of course, it turns out to be fantastic at it.
Yeah, well, at least he was able to find, another category in the business that he was able to, excel in.
I think with Robin Williams, one of his non-comedy roles that was probably one of the more powerful ones was in Good Will Hunting.
Yeah. Wasn't that Matt Damon's like premiere
Might have been.
look he was in?
Yeah, I'm so horrible with celebrities. I don't even remember, who was in what unless I go and look it up. Oh. Like, I guess this is going to be a short one. It doesn't seem anybody's really got much to say tonight.
Oh, I see the kid drag queen is making the rounds in the outrage mail.
Explain that.
Daily Mail, Brady, showing his drag queen boy 10 and loves dressing up as Lady Gaga and beyond. And 9-year-old will reveal and steal his mother's lipstick, make him feel sassy and fantastic. And they've got the picture of him in the rainbow shirt and pink skirt with a sort of looks like a pink ink wig on. And they were like, why could they let this boy dress like a girl?
Yeah, when I
ahead.
was about that same age, my sisters were dressing me up in their stuff. So
yeah, and look what it did to you.
Yeah, I turned out to be a perfectly well-balanced adult. See,
the Daily Mail has no goddamn fucking business saying anything about drag queens in goddamn Britain. It's been a staple of their comedy for decades and decades and decades.
yeah,
It's just what British humor is dressing up, all the way from Shakespeare to current.
Well, oddly enough, I don't really see anything in here that's disparaging about it so far.
Well, see, they don't have a problem with guys dressing as women, if it's an outlandish parody.
The
What
outrage,
they're afraid of is somebody who's doing it convincingly.
looks like the outrage mail is more from the people on Twitter.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what the whole gender critical movement has become now. But I really feel what they're worried about is that they will find some woman attractive and then find out she has a penis.
Probably.
I think that is really what scares the hell out of them.
Yeah, probably.
Well, that's a two-way bad situation. That everybody's got a right to handle it the way they want, but for my sensibilities, if you are trans and you're pre-op, that you don't have, or either you haven't been able to afford it, you haven't done it yet, or you never intend to do bottom surgery, I think you're obligated to tell whoever you're with before you get too deeply involved at all with them.
Well, yeah,
It's just inappropriate.
well, yeah, if you're involved with somebody, yes, but I'm, saying that they would just freak out if they, kind of looked at somebody on the street and then somebody told them, that used to be a guy. But I agree with you that if you're in a relationship with somebody, yeah, it is something that you need to tell them about, before your relationship gets to the level that you would be taking your clothes off in front of them.
I don't necessarily feel that somebody who is post-operative needs to say anything. So how's that? I think then you're taking your own risk. Somebody being upset finding out later and say you lied to me or something like that. But,
yes, it is.
Because functionally there's no difference.
Yeah, I'm not really quite sure how to address that point, because I agree with you that, yeah, if you've gone through all of the surgeries, there really isn't any difference. But at the same time, I would think that, well, it again, it depends if you're talking about, like a romantic relationship that you're trying to have something, going on continuously, or if you're just talking about casual hookups, it's kind of different.
I'm thinking you're good. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm pretty much thinking of casual, one nighters, two nighters, a week, maybe, kind of thing. Yes, if you're going to have a long-term relationship and, marriage and that sort of thing, it's definitely something you got to bring up. But, to every person you go out with, absolutely not. If you're post-op, no reason.
Yeah, I would agree then.
Sounds reasonable.
Although for me, it's like all of my significant relationships have all started talking to people over the computer. So even if we initially got,
does your computer have a penis?
I did not see one when I was cleaning it.
Well, then, you don't have to tell the person anything.
Yeah, my computer has not even mentioned anything about what pronouns to use.
I could really crass joke right now, but I'm not going to.
Go ahead. It's okay. We're
All right.
adults.
Well, in that case, beep bop boop.
Oh. That's not that crass.
Well, it is, considering it was coming from Gina Carano's Twitter feed. Apparently the whole thing was people were bitching about her not having pronouns in her profile, so she put beep bop boop in.
Ah, okay. I didn't get the reference there.
It's like I want to have a pronoun tag made. It's becoming popular in some companies that use name tags that they put their pronouns down. And I think I'd like to have a pronoun tag made for myself that says she, her, hey, you.
Though apparently I heard some of the reporting on that had it the other way around, where she put that in it as her pronouns in her bio, and then everybody bitched at her for it.
Yeah, well, that's just people who, think that woke is a bad thing. Fuck them.
Some way, depends on how it's defined.
The way it's correctly defined, it's not.
There are two definitions at least.
Okay, let's hear it.
All right, let me just pull it up then. I'm actually planning on having a talk about this very subject at some point.
So what are you searching? Woke right wing and woke left wing?
woke Merriam-Webster's 1 awareness and actively attend to important and social facts and issues, especially issues of racial and social justice, which is how most of you would be using the term. However, there's this disapproving version, political and liberal, as in matters of racial or social justice, especially in ways that is considered unreasonable or extreme.
I have never heard it used in that way.
I've heard it used in that way quite a lot by the right.
Yeah, I
Matter of fact,
thought that's how it's usually being used on
Yeah,
Twitter these days.
That's how it's usually being used by.
No,
the right.
no. They're
Yes. That's how they're using it.
okay. I understand. What we got our own little conflict of definitions here.
That's what I'm saying. That we've. That's what I've been saying a lot.
The definition of it is somebody who has woken up and is aware of other people's, other situations, empathetic, compassionate, that they can go back and forth. The other is used, and yes, it indicates that they're using it in a nasty way, but it's a nasty way. They're just describing what it's used, how it's used, not what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how they're using the word when they say they woke, or at least it's supposed to be. I mean, sometimes they just use it for whatever the hell they feel is
Well, for them,
like,
woke is anything that they don't like.
Not all the time though. That's what I'm trying to get at. I mean, yes, they do use it sometimes with just whatever they don't like, but sometimes they actually are using it to that definition.
It seems that they were, just labeling anything that annoyed them as being woke.
Yeah, like I said, some do, but that kind of muddles the whole issue even further when that happens.
Yeah.
So, but this whole
wants to call me woke, knowing that the definition that you just read, I'm perfectly fine with that.
But the argument that woke this means that first definition, no, we're talking past each other. And that's been, I think, a big problem with that word.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a big problem with political discussions in general.
I'm not going to accept this. This is the same situation that if black people choose to use the N-word in their typical dialogue versus a white person using it at all. Okay, if you're stealing a word out of the vernacular and creating your own situation with it, that to make it if you're weaponizing a word, that's not the definition of the word. That's what you're doing with it. It's what you've turned it into.
And that's kind of how definitions form.
But it's different. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, the language is malleable, and
woke was used way fucking back in the 60s.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that colloquial definitions are just based on, if you say the word, what will the majority of people in the group think you mean by it?
Well, if you want to get down into the very basics of it, then woke actually would only apply to the black community.
I don't quite follow why it would only apply to blacks.
That's how it was originally used. It was only supposed to be awareness of the issues with the black racial issues.
Except it wasn't.
Yeah, that's how it was originally used.
No, it wasn't. I was there. I'm sorry. We used it in the 60s and 70s for all sorts of different things that related to the awareness of the social conditions of people around the world.
Of black
no,
people.
Of all people.
That's how it was originally used.
One of the uses, but whether it's about one race,
that's where it originated from.
Whether it's about one race or not, it's still the same thing. That you're aware of things. That's what it means. The awareness, the compassion, the understanding. Okay, it doesn't matter what race you are. It's not a racial word.
Originally, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
I was there. I used it.
It changed over time. It started in the 1930s.
Well,
so by the time it got to you, it already changed.
I won't say I know enough about the origins of the word to really get into this. So,
well, if it goes back to the 30s, and that's something I'm not aware of. As far as that use, it had just the common use of they woke up from sleep, use, and that it was started to be adopted in the 60s by the hippies and other counterculture type people, the new generation, if you will,
yeah.
To mean the awareness of other people, other societies,
Yeah, it became
other
a
things
broader.
that white cis white America is not the only thing that exists.
Yeah, it became a broader term.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
And
I
now it's
refuse to
more,
accept that it's a definition if somebody takes it and weaponizes it.
and now it's morphed into food negative connotation.
No, how they use it has
Yeah,
morphed.
yes, yeah, and
Okay.
how you use it is
And they
still
have
applies in another
weaponized
way.
it that a minority of people use. It's not the common use of the word.
It is becoming more common.
okay. Yeah, we're not going to get anywhere arguing about the definition here. So,
Oh, stop being afraid of conflict. We don't hate each other. We're just arguing.
Yeah.
It's not being afraid of conflict. It's just I can tell that this isn't going to get anywhere tonight.
Well, I
All
don't
right,
know.
you want to talk about something else? Okay, we can talk.
We
about
might
something
talk to each other so much that we make each other blow up, and then whoever blows up last wins.
Okay, go ahead. Then I'm just going to go get more pizza. Of course, then I won't have any co-hosts for next week.
But anyway, as like I said, this is actually a topic I plan to actually get into with another live stream, so possibly.
Well, just don't miss the concept of a word being weaponized.
Yeah,
I'm definitely taking note of that. Well, I want to kind of go over all aspects of it.
And it's actually so many words have been weaponized by the right. They weaponized liberal, the word liberal. They turned it into a bad thing, and it's not. That's not the definition of it. That's just how you've weaponized it. Oh God, what else have they used?
well, and there are a lot of words now that the right uses in negative ways, but people on the left do not see them as being negative.
Yeah.
Well, for the people on the left, when a righty uses the word woke or liberal as a pejorative, we just kind of laugh at them. Is that all you got? Okay, fine. You can call me that. I appreciate it.
Well,
I'm proud to be that.
So basically, when they say that you're woke, they're saying that you're extreme, Mr.
Yeah, but the
unreasonable,
reality is that for them, anything that isn't them is extreme
or insincere, or with how you is. So they're not really calling you by that, saying it by meaning it what you think means.
Oh, now suddenly you're Orlando Ortega, huh? What was it? What was that character's name in Princess Bride again? God.
Oh, Inigo Montoya.
Yes, that's it.
Like it goes back to the thing I was saying about all the campaign literature I was getting, that the Republican stuff was warning about all of these horrible things that the Democrats were going to do. And the literature from the Democrats said that was exactly what they were promising to do if they got elected. So it's like, yeah, the people on the right thought that these would be horrible things if they happened, and the people on the left, it is exactly what they wanted to happen. There's such a disconnect there that, well, mostly it's because the right just keeps whipping people up on emotional issues that don't really matter.
Historically, way back. Oh God, when did I first think this? It was right around the time just before Reagan. I realized that the Republican Party was starting to be very nasty in how it talked about other people, who's anything that's not a Republican, anything that's not a Republican concept of conservatism and that sort of thing. Not just saying that this is what it is, but adding the adjectives and things to make it sound nasty, mean, terrible, dumb, stupid, whatever mood that they're in. And for years, the Democrats didn't drop to that level. And then finally they did. And they started getting just as nasty and stuff. And I still think today they're much nastier than we are, but we're catching up.
Oh yeah, a lot of the Democrats still don't want to stoop to doing that.
But the right wing refuses to accept the fact that they started it.
Well, of course, that would require them to take responsibility for something they did.
Yeah, again, all of us who live there know it. No, that's not true.
Yeah, and you're right. It started like in the mid '80s. It started just when Reagan was entering the political scene. So early '80s.
Looking at Blurble, I think we're still using the term basically the same way. They just see it as negatives, as in not bound by authoritarianism, orthodoxy, or traditional forms. And yeah, the right would see those as negatives, not doing those things.
Well, they think a cartoon advertisement for an M&M is. What's wrong with these people? Oh my God.
Well, it's also just like, what are Republicans, anything that would be a program that would help the public at large, the Republicans are calling it socialism. And a lot of people on the left are saying that, yeah, it would be socialism. That would be a lot better than the predatory capitalism we have.
Well, then they also deny to accept the fact that we already have socialist things in American culture, like Medicaid, Medicare, public schools, police, fire, military.
I spoke to a libertarian. I actually used the example of how our roads are basically socialized. He says we can drive on them for free, and he actually went so as far as say, yeah, we'd better be better off if all roads were pay roads.
Well, yeah, that actually is the true libertarian position, that everybody should pay for things as they use them. That's the biggest problem I see with libertarianism, is they really do not explain how new infrastructure would be built or how existing infrastructure would be maintained.
It's the libertarian bent of the Republican Party that makes them want to propose a 30% sales tax. Everything on the planet goes up 30%.
Oh, they would claim that all those things would be funded through charity.
Yeah, and we all know that ain't going to happen.
Donations.
Yeah, that's again the problem with the libertarianism, is that they seem to believe that billionaires will provide services out of the goodness of their heart.
Yeah, they've done so much of it already.
There was a video from, I think it was Kyle Klinsky on Secular Talk, that was actually going over a rich guy who was actually helping people out get surgeries to be able to see again. And he was actually pointing out how bad having to do that was.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, because here's this thing that was curable in like 10 minutes, and these people couldn't get the cure because they just didn't have the money. And they had to rely on this guy, doing his little thing to, help them out. And he was actually, pointing out this is a negative. I had to come in and help these people out.
And it's
they
also
should have been able, they should have been able to get the help up to begin with without him stepping in. Is basically what he was getting at.
And he's right.
Yeah.
It's like the story about Elon Musk and him I forget if he did it in a speech there at the UN or something, but the issue became Elon Musk said that for no, excuse me, that's not how it started. It was a discussion about world hunger, and the UN said, that we have the resources to end world hunger and something like that, and Elon Musk got involved somehow and made some smart ass things that, well, you tell me how much it costs and I'll cure world hunger. And it came out to about the same price he paid for Twitter. Which did he do?
Yep. Yeah, well, I've heard that said that, Elon Musk has enough to end world hunger, 6 times over or whatever it is.
And so there's your example of how the rich people will pitch in.
Oh, what was the excuse I heard for that? Oh, it had to be a repeat payment, not a one-time payment, so it didn't follow for his criteria or some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
And
heard somebody make an excuse for it.
And then, of course, when you make that point, the right wing comes back with, well, rich people give more money than poor people to charity. Well, yeah, they do, but two things to note about that: they always give to charities that pay back to them. like the opera and Harvard and Yale and that sort of thing. And of course, they give more; they have more. But if you measure that in percentage that people give from their pocket, poor people give significantly more percentage than rich people, by far a larger percentage than rich people.
And we've seen that in this community, that there aren't many people in this community who have very much to start with, but when there's been a need, people really come together.
Exactly.
You're probably gonna hate this one in considering who it is, but the only one I can think of who knocked themselves out of millionaire status by donating to charity was J.K. Rowling. So I think she's gotten herself back up into millionaire status nowadays.
No, she's a billionaire.
Yeah, billionaire. Okay.
Yeah, there's no chance that she's gonna. A billionaire has got so much money, it would take them the rest of their lives to get rid of it all.
Well, at the time she was a millionaire. She dropped down off of the millionaire status at the time. So I do figure she managed to get herself back up though.
Well, she did the right thing. If you're that rich, you should do that.
Okay, but again, I don't know as far as what they're claiming she donated to charity, because I'm pretty sure that most of the money she donated actually was going to, political groups, not things that I would really consider charities.
I do know she's support a number of women's rights charities, but as to the quality of the charities, I can't speak of that. Because I know that some charities that say charities aren't particularly good charities.
Well, she can say that she gives to the gay community in her donations if she gives money to LGBT Alliance in
exactly,
right,
which is an anti-trans hate group.
Right.
Yeah, that's an excellent example of what I mean.
They just co-opted the name.
Well, and that's the kind of thing I mean, that it's more, groups that are doing things, for political position or whatever, rather than them actually doing things that are, helping individual people or anything.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm not sure as to the quality of the charities she donated to, so I can't speak to that.
Although when you say it, Mage, I do remember something about her donating a substantial sum to some women's shelter. So there is some of that in there at least.
I swear, if I ever won the big lotto and I end up with $1 billion, which, even if you win $1 billion with the lotto today, you only end up with 300 million because of taxes and the way the lotto works. But if I won an actual $1 billion, Christ Almighty, there are so many agencies that you could put them up in perpetuity, with the right amount of money that they can gain interest on, pay for their program, and exist for all of time.
Yep.
Just if you start them off right.
Oh yeah, if you set up a proper endowment.
And look at what all of us do. If we what we talk about when we say we're going to win the lottery, how many people do you say, I want to help people? Lots of people do.
I think we've all said that in this group, at least around here.
Mm-hmm. I actually have a written list of who gets it, and it changes from time to time and who's priority. But when I started the list, my priority program was human Habitat for Humanity.
That's a good one.
Yeah, they're still on the list, but just not the priority.
My brother does some work with them.
I think that's a great group.
I always liked the Doctors Without Borders as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know doctors that are part of that go down annually to various areas. And
in fact, I can't remember if it was a charity for Doctors Without Borders or if it was a charity for AIDS, HIV research, but that's how I ended up getting my God Delusion book from Richard Dawkins. It was a first edition. Somebody had it, and they were kind of auctioning it off in the this charity thing.
Well,
Overpaid for it. I overpaid for it, but it was all the money went to a good charity. So
yeah. Well, and that's the idea of charity auctions, that you're generally paying more than you'd pay for the item if you just went and bought it off of eBay. But, it's making a donation to a cause that you feel is important.
Yeah, it went to a good cause. Like I say, I can't remember which cause it was, though, because they both were done in a very similar fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I was in one of those fundraisers where they auction off a person, have a date with the person that they're auctioning off.
Mm-hmm.
I generated 35 cents.
Yeah, it was.
And then they stiffed them.
Yeah, it was. This is actually back before they had these live streams on YouTube. They had I can't remember the name of the site now, unfortunately, but they did all these streams on this one other site, and had the DPR Jones doing his charity with Doctors Without Borders, and then they had well, she goes by Raven now. It went by DevChell back.
Raven Simone.
They went by DevChell back in the day. They did the AIDS HIV research fundraiser. I can't remember which one it was that I got the book from.
Well, that's neat to have an autographed book from any author.
Well, it's not autographed, but it's just the first edition. This is the first edition copy.
Oh, just a common book.
Well, I almost got it autographed. Apparently there was a luncheon that was Richard Dawkins was going to be at that I was going to go with my uncle to, and unfortunately he canceled. Dawkins canceled going there.
And nobody had a pen. Here's a razor blade. Just carve it into my skin.
And I'm pretty sure I could have gotten him to sign it if they told him how I got the book.
Actually, I've heard that that's one of the things that people are doing on occasion. If they meet a celebrity that they're real into and something like that, they get them to autograph them, their arm or something, and then they go and have that tattooed.
Oh yeah,
that's an interesting idea.
I've seen the tattoos where some people have done that.
I just can't think of anybody who I think is important enough that they should be a tattoo on my body.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want any celebrities' autograph tattooed on my body.
Yeah, I wouldn't want somebody else's name on my skin.
I have this photograph of my mom and dad that kind of thought I'd like to have made into a tattoo. Get one of those really good photorealistic 3D tattoo artists and copy the picture.
Hey, Carol.
Hey,
They're
Carol.
awfully talented. Hey, Carol. Who else is here today? Commander is here, and Jason Jacoby. I don't remember you.
Jason Jacoby seems new. But yeah, seems to be a pretty small group watching tonight.
Native alien, atheist, and somebody named Skits Crasher, whatever the hell that means.
Excuse me.
I'd like to know where that name does come from, Skits Crasher.
Well, Skits, if you want to come and explain it, I left your link on Discord. Or if you just want to type it in the side chat, I'll display it.
Ooh,
okay, Carol, I just sent you a link in your email if you want to come in.
Science Bob is going to be on Jimmy Kimmel. He'll blow something up. That's what he usually does.
Science Bob?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know who this is. Is this like a Bill Nye for adults?
No, he's a legitimate educator on some level, and his stage name is Science Bob, and he goes and teaches physics and stuff, chemistry, whatever, by doing experiment stuff that are exciting for people, that have lots of explosions and weird things. They does to create a point and drive the point home.
Yeah, try and get people more interested in science in general.
Yeah.
Does this person have a YouTube channel?
I don't know. I wouldn't bet they do, but I don't know for sure. I know that they have a TikTok account.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they do. Thanks, Bob. There he is. I'm subscribing to that. It sounds interesting.
And when he comes on Kimmel, he just does these weird things like that spray can silly string, it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had a silly string gun that would shoot out 5 or 6 jets of silly string at once and toss it 20, 30 feet. And he had Harrison Ford and Jimmy Kimmel in a duel with silly string. And they rigged Jimmy Kimmel's to not work. And so Harrison Ford just absolutely covered him. They just covered him like a mummy in the stuff. It's fun, it's fun, stupid adolescent.
Well, of course, they couldn't have Indiana Jones gunned down by a talk show host.
No. And like I said, he does lots of explosions and stuff and that, which of course
silly string was extremely flammable. I have seen many videos where people shot it across birthday candles and they did not dig the results.
Yep.
Yeah, don't do that.
I remember seeing a couple where they were having birthday parties in these huge party tents, and they just basically the whole tent went up in a couple of seconds.
I think it was Science Bob who rigged up the rocket car for David Letterman.
I remember David Letterman in the rocket car.
With Coca-Cola and Mentos.
Yep.
They built this stack of, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, I don't know how many it was, bottles of Coke laying on their side like jet engines, and then introduced Mentos into them so that they do that Mentos thing and blew the thing hard enough that it moved. It acted like a jet motor. It was kind of fun.
Okay, now now I'm envisioning something where you could, get a more controlled thing going, something that releases the Mentos into the chamber one by one and keeps squirting in fresh Coke. So we've now developed the external combustion engine.
Yeah, I wonder if they could get us to the moon,
I don't know. I don't know how much thrust you can get off of a Mentos.
we should do an experiment and measure it.
Commander 401 is saying silly string used to have phosphates in them, and the phosphates acted as an oxidizer, and that's what made the silly string burn explosively.
That would certainly work.
Yeah, that would
Well, then
explain
what was
it.
the fuel? What's silly string made out of that was the fuel for the oxidizer to trigger?
Well, it was actually some form of a soft plastic. I'm not sure what, chemically.
Unfortunately, the cat toast engine wouldn't work, because as soon as you connect the cat toast to anything, and it's no longer falling, and thus will stop moving.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Jimmy Kimmel's back on. 27. I'll try to describe it as we go here. He's got two younger girls. They look like high school or early college. Oh, one of them I think is a boy, and they're just shooting the shit right now. There's like 5-6 balloons that are, balloons that are sitting on the counter and below the counter, and they're just sitting there blown up.
Okay. According to this article, the silly string was a resin that contained magnesium, silicon, and oxygen.
Well, that explains why it's flammable.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also some alcohol to prevent it from growing bugs inside the can.
Oh well, that's a somebody should be fired for making that. That's obviously a fire danger. Oh boy, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's like somebody selling a bleach product to go wash out your urinal. Mixing an acid and chlorine bleach. It's a bad thing.
Okay, Commander 401 is saying it was basically soap. Okay, I can see that. Hey, TV Tube. Hey, Doc. Yep. JJ is also saying it was magnesium. That was why it burned so fast.
Magnesium is cool how it burns. That was a real problem in racing for quite a while, is when there would be an accident and the wheels, which are made out of magnesium because it's so damn light, would start fires. As soon as you put water on it, they explode and stuff and make everything worse, and safety teams didn't know how to deal with it at first, and it was trouble. B-52 is made primarily out of magnesium frame, and they burn real badly.
Yeah, you have to know what is.
Okay, they're rubbing balloons on Guillermo's sweater, obviously trying to generate some kind of static electricity. Oh, they're really rubbing him lots. I hope he enjoys it.
Well, if he's getting rubbed off by two young girls, and I hope they're out of high school at least.
Okay, so now it's Science Bob's got a couple of rings that are made of like plastic from like garbage bags. They're just thin 1 inch, and he's trying to turn them basically into smoke rings, it seems, and that they should be able to float down onto the balloon or something. Kind of a lame experiment.
Okay, what's this? Okay, Carol's saying that increasing magnesium in your diet, including supplements, can help manage chronic pain.
Oh, yeah?
I was not aware of that. Maybe I should be taking magnesium supplement. I'll have to talk to my doctor about that.
Okay, that experiment's done. Good, it was boring.
Okay, she says about double the RDA recommendation.
Come on, let's blow something up.
Excuse me.
Oh, thing's on fire. I have the caption on the screen. That's why how I can know what's going on. Gloves on, gloves on, Google's goggles on. Gloves. Ooh, this is going to be good. It works most of the time. They got okay. There's like a bunch of aluminum tubes, look about 3 to 4 feet long. I believe they're aluminum. They look to be aluminum. They're kind of they're on the bench, but they're up on little stands that hold them about 1 inch high. And what's he got there? Oh, they're going to do resonance waves. Cool. Have you ever seen resonance wave played through fire and stuff like that? It's really neat. Fire can conduct sound.
I saw somebody did a demonstration on that it was it was a gas pipe that was responding. The flames were responding to the music.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh my God, Jimmy!
Hey, Stephanie.
Jimmy's got a map gas torch. Jesus
Hi,
Christ,
Purple.
that's overkill.
Hey.
Map gas
Jenny.
runs at like 2,000 degrees. Propane runs a lot lower. They don't need gas for this.
Yep, I've used map gas for some.
Okay, so
some
now the
welding
map gas
applications.
is burning, and now they've put it into the tubes, and so that you can see the flame down the tube length and stuff. There's something in there that they burned.
So what's going on with you, Stephanie?
Nothing much.
You sound a bit down tonight.
Yeah. It's been a long slog.
Yeah.
And it's going to get cold.
Yeah, it is. We're going to send some -10 kind of crap to you.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah, we have it today.
Actually, when I was living in New York, it was a pretty predictable pattern with winter storms. I watched my friends my family in Michigan posting on Facebook and basically knew whatever they got was going to follow the Great Lakes, and we were going to get 2 or 3 days later.
Kind of like how next county up from me, I can always figure, or next city up from me, figure is be about 20 minutes before whatever weather they have I'll have, usually.
Yep. It was nice to have a consistent pattern, though, that, like I say, gave me like 2 to 3 days warning before we'd get hit with a major storm.
Yeah, useful.
Kind of helped me plan my work week since I did a lot of work outside. Jason is happily anxious about the cold snap. Are you a snow lover or what? I don't know. I'm not really like, a winter lover, but I would definitely miss the snow. I don't, I couldn't really live someplace that didn't at least get snow a few times a year. The below zero weather I could do without. And yeah, for you people who, are using the metric thermometer, 0 Fahrenheit is something like 18 below Celsius. Ooh, okay. Wind chill -36. Yeah, that is bitter and dangerously cold. You can't stay out in that for more than a couple minutes. What state are you in, Jason?
My battery is dead again. I'm trying to keep it in a charging state, but it's not working out well. So I may have to drop off suddenly here.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I know you're saying you're having problems with keeping your phone charged.
Well, I get paid tonight at midnight, so theoretically tomorrow I can drag my ass to Best Buy and get one of those magnetic charger things.
Mm-hmm.
Wireless chargers where you just stick it on a flat panel and charge it.
Yeah. Although I won't do it tomorrow because it's going to be still so fucking cold. I have no interest in.
Check reviews on those things before you buy one, because some of them can actually overheat your phone.
Oh yeah, that sounds like fun. We used to use a magnetic induction thing. We had this tool, magnetic induction tool, that we would use in the car shop. That it was basically a coil, an inductive induction coil that would. It was, a coil. It was open in the middle, and so you could wrap it around like a stuck bolt or nut, and in a matter of just a few seconds, it would take this cold steel and heat it up cherry red, and would only heat that. I mean, yeah, there'd be some heat transfer from it to the other parts, but all the primary heat would go right to the object that you're trying to heat, and so it was very useful for getting bolts unstuck and things like that. But it was expensive as fuck. It was like $300 for the tool. What happened in Helena, Montana?
Oh, she's just saying the lowest temperature she ever experienced was -40 with no wind in Helena.
Yeah, I've been there. That's a fun one to be at.
Yeah, somewhere, roughly 20 years ago, I did have to walk a half a mile when it was 40 below wind chill in Minneapolis. That was not fun, and that was like, yeah. I was not certain if I was going to get all my toes back.
Yeah, well, those types.
Yep, my fingers and toes were just so completely numb, and they were so cold that starting to warm up was painful. Yeah, this is one thing I do feel a bit sorry for the people who are addicted to smoking now, because smoking in the building is completely prohibited, so they have to go outside for it. And that's I've never really had, a real addiction, so I don't get what that's like, but just how overpowering that must be that, even when they know it's 10, 20 below, they just have to go out and have a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's always a group of half a dozen of them out there just about any time,
Yeah, I think
no matter what the weather is.
I think my mom had about every addiction there was.
I'm actually kind of surprised I don't. I mean, by all accounts, I should have been an alcoholic.
Same here.
But it's like I got some obsessive tendencies, but I didn't get anything to drive it far enough to be an addiction.
Yeah, statistically, I should have been a smoker and an alcoholic.
Yeah, well, alcoholism runs rampant on both sides of my family, and half of my siblings have been through treatment for it.
Same here.
It doesn't necessarily say that the other half don't have a problem, just that, it hasn't created enough of a problem for them to be sent to treatment. Hey, Jeff. I'd ask you to jump in here, but I assume you're getting ready for work.
Joffrey.
Geoff. I'm sorry. I know he hates when somebody calls him that.
Wasn't the giraffe for Toys R Us named Geoffrey?
Yeah, it was
G-E?
Jeffrey the giraffe, and it was spelled with a G.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of the band that did this cigarette song that goes, "Smoke, smoke, smoke that cigarette. Puff, puff, puff until you puff yourself to death. Tell St. Peter at the Golden Gate."
I think Spike Jones had a version of that.
No,
and,
this was a '60s thing. I can't. What the fuck was the name?
And Ween has, was it Ween? Yeah, I think it's Ween. Has a smoking cell called Richard Smoker.
Mm-hmm.
Tell St. Peter at the Golden Gate, you just hate to make him wait. You just gotta have another cigarette.
Okay, that's sounding vaguely familiar. I must have heard it at some point. But yeah, when the Flintstones was first on TV, they were sponsored by a cigarette company, and there were all sorts of things just in the cartoon that all of the characters are smoking.
Oh, that we had Saturday morning cartoons. All the characters would be smoking.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty different than what they do now. Listen, I got to give up on this phone. I just can't keep it charging.
Okay.
And I'm down to 22%.
Okay, well, you have any final words before you drop off for the night?
I need a new phone.
Apparently. Yep. Sounds like it.
Yep.
All right, y'all take care. Chat. Yep. We love you guys.
Take care, Jenny.
Okay, good night, Jenny. Get some good rest.
Night.
Later.
So we had votes for Winston, Camel, and Marlboro. So nobody seemed quite sure what brand of cigarettes it was. I think it was Winston for the Flintstones. I'm not sure.
Let's see. There's the Marlboro Man. There's I'd Walk a Mile for a Camel. Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
Yeah, the Marlboro Man was portrayed as this rough macho cowboy, and he died of lung cancer.
Yeah, I remember.
And he wasn't that old. He was younger than I am now. You know, I think he was like barely 50 or something. I'd have to look that up.
Oh, and famously, they started marketing cigarettes to women as a Virginia Slims. They were those.
Yep. I remember that being kind of a new thing on TV when I was growing up, that having brands that were specifically aimed at women.
Yeah, there was advertisements for smokeless tobacco products on TV and radio, however, were not banned until 1986.
Mm-hmm.
The ban for smoking was 1971.
Yep. Yeah, that was stuff that was all going on while I was going through school.
What banned for smoking in 1971?
I think 1971 was the advertising ban, that they were no longer allowed to advertise cigarettes on TV.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And actually, it wasn't for at least like 10 or 15 years after that, before they extended it, that they couldn't advertise them in magazines. Yeah,
Rules
Jeff,
and-
I hadn't seen the film. I was aware it existed. That was about it.
Huh. 1998 was we had new rules including bans on transit and billboard advertisements, paid brand and product placements, cartoons, tobacco brand sponsorships of sporting events, and cigarettes, as well as advertising and marketing practices that had targeted individuals under 18. Though that last part's been abused.
Yeah. Yeah, my late fiance used to roll her own cigarettes just because it was so much cheaper that way. But she finally gave up because she saw the effect the secondhand smoke was having on me. She couldn't do it for herself, but she realized that with my sinuses and my allergies, that it was really having a major effect on my health.
I said that last part was being abused. The targeting individuals under 18 in part, or as it's been used as an excuse used to try and get rid of flavored e-cigarette cartridges.
Yeah, but they also have evidence of that. But the Juul company actually has been trying to target teenagers.
God damn the pusher.
Though I don't think that justifies banning any flavored cartridges, though.
I am bothered by the idea of the government actually banning anything. But at the same time, yeah, the way that they market things, there isn't really any control over it. And we've seen that with so many products that they knew for decades that products were dangerous, and instead of fixing anything or trying to improve anything, they just keep paying off lawsuits as long as they're still making a profit.
Capitalism.
Sorry about your dad there, Carol.
Yeah, my dad died of COPD as well, and so did my uncle, his brother.
Yeah. Well, the part that pretty much got smoking canceled, I hate to use that word because the way they're using it politically now, but that because there were enough documents leaked that had phrases in them like replacement smokers, that the cigarette corporations or the tobacco corporations were acknowledging that our product is going to kill X number of people every year. So we need to draw in enough replacement smokers to cover the amount of customers that are going to die.
That was a pretty big admission.
Yeah, well, those were supposed to be internal documents that no one outside the company was supposed to see. But, you can't keep that going for too many years until there's, somebody who is unhappy with the company for one reason or another who's going to, show some things to a reporter.
Yay, whistleblowers.
By rabbit tobacco, I take it you mean something growing wild, but yeah, my fiance had actually tried to quit. I don't know how many times over the years. But like I said, I've never had to go through it myself. I've actually lived with several people while they were quitting at various times in my life, so you know, I've seen it, and I can't quite imagine what it's like to, you know, go through that and have something like that you feel you have to have that way. Hey, Orla. Oh, TV tube. So you mean like skunk weed? Smoked mullein and grapevine leaves. I'm not sure what mullein is. Yeah.
Yeah, nicotine's a hell of a drug. It really is. It's just
Okay, something I am not proud of, but when I was in my early 20s, I kind of took advantage of that. I knew that when my roommate was out of cigarettes, I'd get him to clean the whole apartment for a pack.
brilliant.
So, like I say, not really proud that I took advantage of somebody else's addiction, but in pragmatic terms, it was very economical for me. Yep, and see, this is the other thing, that this is why vice taxes are always the easiest to pass. You know, taxes on tobacco and alcohol, they know they can always pass because they know that people who are in the habit of having them will keep paying the price even if it goes up. And they know that nobody is going to admit that they need it so bad that it's actually going to be an issue if the price doubles. Nobody is going to get up there and admit publicly that a 4% tax on tobacco or alcohol is going to really upset them.
Yeah, well, it is, you know, it has become incredibly expensive. So I've cut down a whole bunch, but
Okay, Orla says there's research that says if you smoke tobacco and cannabis together is why it's bad for your lungs than just smoking tobacco.
but nothing can be all that great for you. You know?
Yeah, pulling smoke, you know, pulling any
Yeah.
particulates into your lungs can't be good. So she did say it's a good advertisement for edibles, and I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, your stomach, your digestive system can certainly process a lot of things that are a lot more harmful and get them out of your body safely than your lungs can.
Looking up this mullein, looks like it's been used for torches. Soak the stalks in grease and used as torches.
Brilliant. That's good. I think I'll go suck on a school bus pipe or something.
And it's reported to contain rotenone, which is an insecticide, though unknown quantities.
Yeah. Well, and that actually is part of the problem with cigarettes is it's not just the tobacco itself, it's other chemicals that are mixed in there.
Yeah, they mix
including
tar.
the insecticides that they use in it.
No, that's what I was reading about the mullein. It has a natural insecticide.
Mm-hmm.
It produces its own insecticide.
Yeah, but I'm saying commercial tobacco growers, you know, the insecticide that they spray on it.
Yeah, they add all sorts of. Most of the tar they add to it that makes it really bad.
Yeah, the tar, and they put other chemicals in there to try and boost the nicotine kick.
Yeah, that's why I think that's the reason why they add the tar, if I'm too mistaken.
Yeah. A native atheist.
Though I hear, I can't speak from personal experience, but I hear just raw cigarettes, you know, where you just grow it yourself, dry it, and smoke it. It's actually a lot harsher than what you get it from the store-bought stuff.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it, about what's from the tobacco and what's from the processing they use.
So take that with a grain of salt, though, because I can't speak too much of that.
Yeah, same for me, Orla. And it is something that I credit my brother with the fact that I never smoked. Because when I was 15, he was on leave from the Navy, and he was, tapping the pack, packing them before he got one out. And he looked at me and he said, "Don't ever start. You can't quit these things." And it was so rare for him to actually say anything seriously that had an effect that imprinted that memory to this day.
I've heard a lot of smokers say that.
Oh, that's what I tell people. Don't start. It's a bad idea.
Yeah. But, again, in the 70s in the Navy, everybody on the ship smoked.
Mm-hmm. Well, growing up, being born in the 50s, it's like, well, everybody on TV smoked. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of that, being so thoroughly indoctrinated into the culture, was also because that during both World Wars, even the Red Cross included cigarettes in the comfort kits.
Mm-hmm. Fuck you, Sir Walter Raleigh, you motherfucker.
What do you do?
Well, if we didn't come and try to steal all the land from the Native Americans, we wouldn't have discovered tobacco, would we?
No. Sir Walter Raleigh introduced smoking as a thing.
Yep. He was the one who really brought it back to Europe.
As a colonist in Virginia, brought the native custom back to Europe. Mm-hmm.
I have considered growing some tobacco plants.
They're very pretty. Nicotiana is really pretty. They're really pretty plants.
Good for mulch and composting.
There are various varieties. The smaller ones, the flowers are really nice. And it was the tobacco industry was big in, of all places, Connecticut. Mostly wrapper tobacco for cigars, like a lot of the wrapper tobacco for cigars, for Cuban cigars, was Connecticut grown. My sister's husband's dad was in that business for a while.
Bip, bip.
Yep. Woohoo!
What's that?
Just a little woohoo.
Woohoo!
Oh gosh.
Sorry, I was trying to pull Stephanie's link here so that I could post that.
What link?
Well, we at least got your Mastodon link into the show list.
Oh, cool.
I should get your Discord link in here too, but I don't have that right now.
You got my YouTube link?
No. Again, that we should have that in the list.
Let me see if I can grab that without crashing shit.
Well, okay, instead of doing it right now, why don't you just DM me all your links on Discord tomorrow, and I'll put them all in the list for future use.
Well, I can at least put the YouTube link in the private chat, just for the fuck of it.
Okay. Well, shall we just start the shilling round and shut down for the night then?
If you want.
Yeah, like I said, it seems everybody's been kind of not having a whole lot to say tonight, so.
I'm atheist talked out. I was atheist talking for a good long time on Richard Maston's channel.
He has some interesting views, but I have not gotten into really discussing religion with him.
He's a curious dude. I mean, seriously, he's very, very curious. His views are very unique.
Yeah, I've heard him, talk about it enough times that I've got the gist of it. Not sure what to make of it all.
I just threw the link in the private chat to my YouTube channel.
Oh. Okay, well, it's...
Hey, I got the thing to tell dad jokes.
Nice.
Playing around the writing AI.
I know you were trying to get to tell jokes and it wasn't getting it.
Yeah. Done. Good. Now, what was the punchline?
Punchline?
Yeah, that was a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember the Discord numbers.
Yeah, like I said, send it to me tomorrow, but...
Yeah, I will.
Okay, we'll at least have that added in here. If I can... Yeah, I'm not quite with it today and not hitting the right buttons over here.
That's okay.
So, Mage, you got anything coming up?
Got a garden tour I'm trying to put together. I'm thinking maybe I might do another one of those garden tip videos since they're short and easy to do, and try and make them easy to follow and be informative.
Yep.
So that's probably my next 2 weeks.
Well, and like I said, I think this is, probably the best time of year for the garden tip videos because, yeah, people are starting to think about, spring's coming soon, and anybody who wants to have an outdoor garden has to start planning for it now.
Yeah, that's why I did that where and when to buy seeds video.
Yep, that was an excellent topic for this.
You ever heard of a company called Johnny's Selected Seeds? They're in Albion, Maine. They have a lot of heirloom seeds.
Johnny Seeds? Yeah, I've heard about them.
Yeah, they're really cool. They're
good
people.
I may have purchased from them before. I'm not sure. I know I had them on my list of my links.
They're good people.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
beautiful Albion, Maine. Yes.
Well, just, do you have anything coming up, making appearances on other channels or anything?
Appearances on other channels. Atheist Haven, is it that it? I think that's it.
Skeptic Haven?
Skeptic Haven, yes.
Yeah.
Sunday. I'll be on there.
Okay, cool.
Broadcast talking about how the church is nasty to ladies.
In fact, the Johnny Seeds one you mentioned, I was actually thinking that putting that in the list I had in the description of that video, but I couldn't remember if I had purchased from them or not, and I only wanted to put site links to ones I knew who I bought from before.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't have too much going on here either, so just my normal things next week, Wednesday at noon, Thursday at 10 p.m. Although I am running out of holidays that we have not done because I don't want to do religious ones and I don't want to do any of them. They're likely to get too political. So I may have to start titling after something else.
It's too bad Jenny's not here because I want to pursue that. I'd love to do a stream on old trans ladies, to get what did we?
Yeah.
Came up with a whole bunch of, this was an offline discussion that we had.
Yeah, I mentioned something from that offline discussion I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a good concept. We definitely have to, figure out a good time when everybody could be available for it.
Yeah, I'd love to do some. I did do that live stream that you were on, Purple, and apparently my itsy bitsy teeny weeny channel's getting around. So
yeah, like I said, the part I thought I found interesting in your little discussion there is how if you had the choice between being cis, whatever your body was, or you're going to what your brain was and being cis to that.
Yeah, well, isn't the brain really who you are? Your body's just what everyone else sees.
Yeah. It was an interesting point.
No, I would have been a vehement no. It would have been absolutely vehement no.
Yeah.
No.
Would you make your brain male cis, or would you make your body female cis? It's an interesting point that you guys made there.
Yep. Well,
at this point, I'm not even sure. At this point, I'm not even sure it would have been. And this might be ideological, but coming far beyond Lil K experience. But I just want to convince people that being trans is it's just being human. It's a part of the human experience. It's a very rare part, but it's a part, and it shouldn't be dismissed because there is an awful lot of wisdom to be gained.
Yeah, I think understanding the brain as to how we go from be you're cis or be trans, or how our brains register that whether we're male or female. Figuring that out, I think, could go a long way to learning a lot more about ourselves. Not just it's not just a matter for people who are trans, but for everybody.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Tiresias?
No, I'm not.
Tiresias, T-I-R-E-S-I-S-E-U-S, Tiresias, who was in Greek mythology and Greek legend.
Oh, from the Odyssey?
No, this is in Greek mythology and Greek legend. He offended, I forget which one of the easily offended Greek gods he offended, but he offended somebody. He offended one of those Olympians.
They were all offended by something.
Yeah.
And he was the offended Olympian transformed him, or cursed him. Of course, patriarchal society, that's a curse, to be transformed into a woman. So he was transformed into a woman. Well, and he was rather legendary, and one I don't know whether it was one of the Olympians. I think it was one of the Olympians. I think Hera said, "Okay, so I got a question for you about sex. Was it better? How do you think? Was it cool to have? Which was better sex? With a dick or with a JJ? And Tiresias went the JJ without question. Let's hear it for Tiresias. So anyway, yeah, it's a totally modern thing. It's never been heard of before, except in except in Greek mythology.
Oh yeah, I pulled it up. I pulled up the wiki on this guy.
About 10 years ago, I wrote a short story that basically the character had this, I'm going to have to say curse for lack of a better word, enchantment on them. That every time they orgasm, they change genders.
Well, that would be.
Yeah, it happens at the most inopportune moment, doesn't it? Then.
Yeah, actually, that would be the succubus and succubi. One of the legends of those demons who once a succubus has sex and gets semen into them, they turn into a male.
Really, I hadn't heard that part of that legend.
Yeah, that's another part of the thing. It's like, it's funny that, I don't know. I think there's an awful lot of if you delve into the psychology of what drives the fear, it's all this stuff, and it's all bullshit. Which is why I say it would be a better world. Steph be horny. Math Pig, you were supposed to be in bed. What the hell? Math Pig was over on Richard's channel, that's waiting patiently to express his opinion, and he never really did actually get into the stream much. But
well, that's actually where I first got to hear about Richard's beliefs on the Bible, was that he did quite a number of streams with Math Pig.
Math Pig, jeez, Math Pig and Stool, man, they'll take anybody. They've even had me on their. I'm sorry, Math Pig, I love you. I'm sorry.
It'll all end up with gravy and video cameras.
Yeah, and cake. And cake. Nice chocolatey cake.
Yeah, the gravy would get messy. Okay, well, we were supposed to be signing off here. So I'm just going to jump right back to thanking all my supporters here. My newest supporter, Southern Sal. My oldest supporter, Vonrek. And Greg Hartwick and Skitscrasher, Kitty the Atheist, Robert X, and the Lavender Lady. I appreciate you all, helping me keep things running. And while she's no longer a financial supporter, I feel I need to mention Junie for continuing to, do the artwork and continuing to create new avatars for me. And I'm not terribly upset that even though she has met me in person, based on all the avatars, Junie seems to have the impression that I'm 30 years younger than I actually am.
That's a good person.
So with that, we will bid you all a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Later.
Okay, and Math Pig had to bring up pizza. And yeah, I still have half a pizza in the kitchen that I need to get back to. So.
All right.
Good night, all.